Okay, and I'm not going to say all right. Homeostasis. Now this should be kind of summarizing everything that you've learned about the integumentary system. Okay, so a lot of this will just be pure application of what you already know. You know it's a protective barrier, so therefore it safeguards against bacterial invasion and then also just physical trauma. You know that the melanocytes produce melanin, and that's for UV protection. As you suntan, it causes you to produce more and more melanin. That is actually so the UV rays cannot get in and through down to the lower levels, but it can also then end up causing, just because you're out there in the sun so much, more damage. The sebaceous glands actually have a little, the sebum is a little bit acidic, and that can cause growth retardants to bacteria. Do you remember the Langerhans cells? Remember that terminology? You've had that one other time, the Langerhans cells. Those are immunology cells that help with the immune system. They phagocytize dead tissue and bacterial that's up close. And it also alerts the rest of the immune system. It regulates water loss. Okay? Remember, it is keratinized, and so therefore that keratinization causes it not only to be tougher but also to be waterproof. So it limits the too much water from entering the body or leaving the body. It also helps with the urinary system just because you have the sweat glands, and so therefore you're able to excrete some waste out through your sweat glands. Now, think about when you're in a bathtub for too long, or your hands are in water too long. What happens to your hands? They get wrinkly. They look like they're pruned. Do you think, now I want you to kind of take what you know about skin, take what you know about osmosis, the movement of water, all right? From water will move, you're always going to try to balance out water. Water will go from high concentration to low concentration, all right? Now think about, do you think your skin is swelling or shrinking? Is it shriveling up or is it swelling? I know. It actually is swelling. Think about what you know about osmosis. High concentration of water, low concentration of water. Do you have a lot more solutes inside your skin than there is in just plain water inside your cells? Yes. So if you're in water long enough, it's actually going to absorb into your skin, and it causes it to swell up, which I thought was really interesting because everybody automatically thinks that you're shriveling or pruning and it's shrinking, but it's actually swelling. So if you're in water long enough, it will start to kind of break down that keratinization. It does produce vitamin D. Vitamin D, and that is from the UV rays. So a small amount of sunlight is beneficial because we can't produce vitamin D without a small amount of UV rays. You've got the nervous system that it works with to gather sensory information, touch, pressure, pain, and then heat sensitivity. The fingertips have the greatest amount. That's the reason the fingertips are so incredibly sensitive to things. You can just barely feel it because you have so many more. They're very localized there. It regulates the body temperature. When the body gets too hot, it releases heat. The ATP, when your body is working those extra, the muscles are contracting and everything, you have a lot more ATP, so your body temperature will increase. Your blood vessels dilate. It's going to bring the blood to the surface, so that way it can start cooling down. When you have sweat, sweat is going to absorb some of your body temperature, that heat, and then when it evaporates off of you, it actually pulls some of the heat out of your system. When the body gets too cold, sweat glands are going to kind of shrink down and they're going to become inactive. Blood vessels, instead of dilating, are going to constrict to keep that blood down closer into the inside of you, so that way you're not losing your heat. Muscles contract through what muscle? Yeah, erector pili, making goosebumps, and you're going to start shivering. Not just erector pili. If you get colder, then your larger muscles will also start to. Then I wanted to show you some frostbite pictures. What happens here is if you get too cold, remember your blood vessels are constricting. They're trying to reach in deeper and deeper into your system. You don't have any heat. Your heat mainly comes from either your muscles working or the heat through the blood will carry through, and it's not able to keep those areas warm enough, those cells warm enough, and they will end up freezing and dying off. So it's kind of interesting. All right. When the body system, the regulatory system tends to fail or it's overcome, you have hyperthermia. Hyperthermia, but remember, hyper means it goes more and more and more. Like if somebody is hyper, there's more and more activity, so your body temperature is above normal. Blood pressure could be low, salt loss from excessive sweating. You could have a heat stroke if you get too hot with no sweating. Fever is really a special part of hypothermia. If you've got a bacterial infection, your temperature, your body is trying to fight that, so there's so much activity going on in there. Hypothermia is where your body temperature is below normal. That's 90 to 95 degrees, uncontrollable shivering and incoherent speech and lack of coordination. Once you start getting down too low, pulse rate will slow, hallucinations occur, and you become unconscious. Breathing becomes very shallow. Shivering is about a 50% mortality rate once you get down into the 80 to 90 degree body temperature. So pretty serious. Say it one more time. In dehydration? Dehydration would probably go about with hyperthermia more, just because you have to have the body. I don't know for sure. Yeah. Because you're getting. Now, I'll look that up because that's interesting, and it may be that when I'm just guessing here, trying to take what little I know and summarize. Maybe whenever you have the lack of fluid with dehydration, water is so good at carrying specific heat and stuff. It may, you're not able to keep the warmth in, so it could be. But I'll look that up for you. And that's all I have for